It's crazy to think that it's already been 6 years since we developed and debuted the automatic dosing system. This product has become a staple in the Aquascape line for treating ponds, waterfalls, and fountains. We started putting together a wish list of all the things we wanted to change and improve when we created the next generation. One of the most common things we hear about the current dosing system is that it works great for small to mid-sized ponds. But once those ponds start to get larger, which is definitely becoming more and more common, trend for larger ponds, recreational ponds, you start to expose the limitations of the current dosing system. The current dosing system uses a 32-ounce bag, where I think the sweet spot for the current dosing system is really on a 1,000-gallon pond up to about 2,500 gallons. With this 32-ounce bag, you'll get about 2.5 months down to about 1 month of treatment, depending on the size of that pond. And that's a respectable time frame to have to go out and actually change this bag. Now, take for example behind me here, we got a beautiful 6,000-gallon water feature that was put in by our construction crew in the last month. So you take that same dosing system with a 32-ounce bag and you put it on a 6,000-gallon pond, you're looking about 10 days life on this bag. So that's where you start to see the limitations of it, because now you're actually having just as much maintenance going out there and actually replacing this bag on a 10-day basis, which defeats the whole purpose of the dosing system. You want to put this bag in there and let it do its work for you and not be chained to having to go out and swap that out. Enter the new XT dosing system. This is a bigger unit. Doesn't use bags. We're using bottles. So I got a half-gallon bottle here and a 1-gallon bottle here. So I just ran over the numbers on the current dosing system and the limitations when you get to larger water features. Half-gallon of maintain. This will last you for about a month on a 6,000-gallon pond, not 10 days. You jump up to a full gallon size if you want to use that, you can get 2 months out of it. So it definitely extends your time frame to a more realistic expectations of having to go out and swap out the bottles when they're actually empty. So we talked about a 6,000-gallon pond. What about a 10,000-gallon pond? That 1-gallon bottle right here will last over 30 days on a 10,000-gallon pond. So the new XT dosing system can definitely handle larger bodies of water. But wait, there's more. We also have a half-gallon and a full gallon in 3 times concentration. So that really starts to allow you to tackle larger ponds than 10,000 gallons, or what's even nicer is you can put the 3 times concentration on a project such as this 6,000 and extend even further the amount of time you have before having to change out the water bottle. So the example I gave you before, a 6,000-gallon pond with a 1 gallon, you get 2 months worth of treatment time. You now get about 5.5, 6 months of treatment time on this pond. So here's what I want you to picture. You go out on your spring cleanouts. You're cleaning the pond out, you're dropping in a 3 times concentration bottle into the new XT dosing system, and you've basically got yourself covered for almost the entire pond season, 5.5 months for a 6,000-gallon pond. So that is by far the easiest way to go, and one of the advantages the way you can use the new XT dosing system. As far as size goes, you use that 3 times concentration, you jump up to a 30,000-gallon pond, and now you have a little over 30 days of treatment for a 30,000-gallon pond. And we're starting to get into extreme pond sizes now for the type of ponds our teams are actually putting in out there in the field. Whenever we're trying to take a current product and make it better, basically creating the next generation, we're always looking at ways to improve the reliability, durability, and performance of that product. And we did that with the new XT dosing system. We want to make sure that control panel is going to last and be able to withstand all the elements. Therefore, we put it under the lid. So this is protected from weather, it's protected from sun, from UV, and more importantly, when you bury this thing in the ground and you close this, extremely low profile, so it's very easy to hide. All right, I'm here with Matt Augustine, product manager for Aquascape, and one of the guys who was heavily involved in the development of the new dosing system XT. So Matt, current dosing system, works awesome. Adds water treatment several times a day, every day, until that bag runs out. So, you basically have to rely on the person, the human, to go out and check to make sure that bag is still full and doesn't need to be replaced. And often, even on my own pond, I open it up and the bag, the Capri Sun is all, looks like a Capri Sun bag, all collapsed and empty, and I don't have any idea how long it's actually been out. This is one of the things we put in the scope for the new design, how we can overcome that. So why don't you explain real quick what the product development team did to make it easier to know when it's time to replace the bottles in the new XT dosing system.
Yeah, so what we've developed to actually mitigate this issue is what we're calling a low treatment alert switch. So this is specially designed to fit in both the 1 gallon and half-gallon containers for the XT system. And you're going to see two different things here. You're going to see an intake. This is going to go ahead and bring that treatment up this line through the control panel and out to the water feature. You're also going to see this little electromagnetic read switch. This is going to indicate when that water treatment is about 90% empty. It's going to go ahead and send a signal up to the control panel here, where it'll illuminate a little LED on the control panel to go ahead and tell you that that treatment will need to be replaced shortly.
We use the term smart in front of a lot of products that connect to the Aquascape app. We've been calling this the Smart Pond XT dosing system. How is it smart?
What you can actually do is you can connect this control panel up to the Smart Control app. Instead of getting the little LED indicator here on the control panel, where you actually need to go and open up this top lid to see it, it'll actually give you an alert on your phone. So you'll get an alert on your phone. It'll tell you that it's about 90% empty, as well as give you a little bit of information in regards to how many more days of treatment you may have left based on your setting and based on whether you're using the 1X or the 3X treatment.
So one of the first things you notice is this control panel looks significantly different than the existing control panel. Why don't you explain why that is?
On the current control panel, you'll notice it's 500 through 5000. You just go ahead and select between those settings. You know, you're really limited with those options. What we wanted to do with this new system is really expand those options. So we'd have to have a control panel this big to have all those different settings on it. So we've gone to a numerical system. It's 1 through 50. So you'll go ahead and adjust the setting to 1 through 50 based on your needs for that water feature.
So how do you know what setting to put it on?
Yeah, so what we're actually going to do, we'll have a little code on that bottle as well as on the packaging on the website. It'll go ahead and get you to a place where you just plug in your water feature information, you plug in what water treatment you want to use, and we go ahead and spit out that setting for you. It's going to make it really easy to select the setting that you need for that water feature.
Do you have to do that every time you change a bottle out?
No, so this thing's going to have a memory in it. Every time that that thing shuts off, every time that that water treatment runs out, it's going to go ahead and maintain that setting on the panel.
So really, once it's set for a 6,000 gallon pond, you're good to go. When you swap out a bottle and put a new one in, it's already programmed for that 6,000 gallon pond. I would imagine the only time you would have to set it is if you decide to go from a single concentration bottle to a 3 times concentration bottle, because this is all calibrated based on the dosing, so you'd have to change it then.
Correct, yeah. If you're switching over to a triple strength bottle, we're going to recommend you go back to that code, go back to that website, recalculate, we'll spit you out a new number and tell you what you should be using on it.
And then the app, if you're using that, the interface of the app, you'll be able to type in 6,000 gallons the first time, and it'll program that for you, and it'll set it for you. So really, you don't have to touch this because the app will control it for you.
Yeah, again, so the big advantage of connecting the app, just like the low treatment alert, is it allows you to go ahead and set that, makes it that much easier to go ahead and pick the proper setting. You don't even really need to think about these numbers anymore if you're using the app.
Yeah.
Otherwise, when you go ahead and look at the control panel physically.
So back to customer feedback. One of the most common things we get questions on are, can you run 2 treatments simultaneously? Now for the dosing system, for ponds we have 4, and for the fountains we have 2. Each of them has their own purpose. Maintains your staple one that you always use, but for instance clear is that problem solving one. So people have asked, can I use maintain and clear at the same time? We're like, yes they can, but you got to buy 2 dosing systems and have it. It's just kind of a clunky way of actually doing that. So once again, back to our wish list, when we developed this, what have we done to accommodate that?
Yeah, so what we've developed, if you want to go ahead and add 2 treatments simultaneously, you're going to go ahead and grab one of these controller add-on kits. This is going to make it really easy to actually use 2 64-ounce bottles instead of that 1 gallon bottle option.
So the system can hold 2 64-ounce bottles or 1 1-gallon bottle.
Correct, yeah, so you have the opportunity, you can run maintain for ponds in addition to protect, clean, clear, any of those other options in the Simple Solutions lineup.
That's awesome. So maintenance on the dosing system is real easy. There's really only one component here that you need to take care of on a regular basis. That's that little peristaltic pump in here. It's the device that spins around, and the way it works is there's little roller balls in there, and as that roller ball turns, the space in between the tubing is 1 dose. Over the course of time, that tubing will stretch out and it changes the dosing slightly. We recommend changing this out every season. Inexpensive, super easy. All you do is pinch these little tabs here, you pull that off, and you put the new cartridge back on. It should take no longer than 30 seconds. It's kind of one of those best practices, like if you're changing your tires on your car, it's a wear and tear item just like that. Second thing, winterization on the dosing systems. These electronics here, they have a thermometer inside them. It senses the temperature and it will shut down if you're in cold climates when it gets towards freezing temperatures, because you don't want that thing grinding against frozen fluids inside. Dosing system for cold temperatures, best practice, take this inside for the winter, store it in a warm area where it's not going to freeze. Spring, you bring it back out. If you're fortunate to live in the southern areas, you're good to go. Keep it going all year long. All right, Ed, you were involved in the design of the original dosing system, and now we're developed the XT system. So, like, you know, looking at the features and benefits, what's your favorite thing about the XT?
Oh my gosh, it is unbelievable. You guys definitely did your homework. Listen to all the CACs, listen to our construction team, and it has everything inside of there. What I love about it is the expandability. So the dosing system I have at my house, I know it works. It works great, but just like you were saying, you forget about it. It's like, oh shoot, I gotta go change out that bag, because I know I can see the difference in water quality. So I know that stuff works. So that expandability is huge. And also, all of our features seem to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the big push for the recreation ponds, these crazy fountain features and all this stuff, commercial locations, you want to make sure that those are pristine. And it all starts with that foundation of having the right bacterial treatments and all water treatments going into it to ensure that desired water quality. So I think this is a home run.
Awesome.
Putting in the multiple 2 half-gallon ones, 1 large one, the triple dosage.
Yeah, you get some flexibility with it,
literally, there's 1,000 different combinations, which it's dead on.
Well, like, and we know the dosing system works. Like you said, I live with one, you live with one.
Yep.
We see feedback. It's not often, especially with water treatments, where you introduce something, and we did that with the original dosing system. The year after we introduced it, and the year after that, contractors are going out, we were going out, putting it on existing ponds, where you already know the personality of the pond, how the water quality is, what it does seasonally, and people were reporting back like, oh my gosh, this pond usually is, you know, green, or it's cloudy, or there's, you know, dirt and debris and junk on the bottom of it. And it's different because you're doing that treatment multiple times a day, every day, versus relying on the human to go out there and add it once a week, once every 2 weeks, if they even do that.
That's exactly it. I love it. And, you know, when we start looking at the whole ecosystem philosophy, which everything that we design and build is based on, this is having a specific mixture of organisms living in the feature. So what happens in nature, so if we didn't put anything in here, nature's going to put it for us.
Absolutely.
It's a crapshoot what's going to be happening.
Absolutely.
So if we hit it right away, you have to make sure that you get that stuff in there in the beginning. And if you do that, we can guarantee incredible results. This pond, for one, I know is working. It's only been operating for 2 weeks.
Yep.
You can see bacterial flocks, all that little stuff, the conglomeration of the enzymes and sediments and stuff like that already starting to accumulate. And that's because there's a dosing system on here.
Absolutely.
It's going to be switched out, obviously, to this
the
new
new ones,
one,
right.
But we're starting to see the effects of all this stuff. The biological or the microscopic world is like a fierce battleground. I mean, these guys are competing for their place in the sun. So they're competing for food, for sunlight, for reproductive rights of this water feature. So we want to make sure that we have that desired stuff inside of there that's going to deliver that water quality that we're really looking for.
It's a great, like, from a standpoint of the ecology and how we have an ecosystem pond, we're working with Mother Nature instead of against her. I mean, the dosing system is important because when someone is not adding water treatments to it, and just like you said, then it's a crapshoot, right? Whatever starts growing in this, starts evolving in this thing, that's what you get. And a lot of times it's not desirable results.
No.
We don't have a swimming pool. You can't go out and just put shock in it and start over and have results in 24 hours, you're back to normal. Customers get frustrated if the water treatments haven't been added and we come out and troubleshoot stuff, and then we're like, okay, we got to start, hardcore water treatments, adding these stuff in. When will be better? And could be a couple weeks at that point, if not longer than that. So the dosing system, because it's always adding in there, you're not going to have those big swings and not going to have the issues with troubleshooting water quality issues. So.
Exactly. The world that we live in is constantly changing.
Yeah.
Different sunlight, we have different precipitation, all those things are factors going in there. The whole concept of the dosing system that started years ago is solid.
Yeah.
So now it's just a matter of what you've done now is fine-tuned it. So now you're like listening to people, expandability, greater lengths in between adding the treatments, allowing multiple different types of treatments to be added at the same time.
That's a key thing, because when we first developed the original dosing system, it was literally just to be putting in bacterias, your heterotrophic, your lithotrophic, your photosynthetic bacteria, and then we actually kind of looked at each other like, holy crap, we can make a cocktail of stuff in this and put our top products in this in one formulation, so you don't have to have 4 or 5 bottles around. I mean, that Maintain has all your bacterias. It's got your flocculant, which is rapid clear for water clarity in it. It has a phosphate binder, which is SAB, to help lock up that nuisance nutrient that causes all sorts of other issues. and then it has dechlorinator in it. So when you're adding water to top things off, it's dechlorinating and taking care of that. So it's really turned into a, one bag or one bottle is actually equivalent to 4 or 5 different bottles.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a great product.
Totally incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the feature at my home, spotless. I don't do anything to it. I set that thing up, I set it up, it runs. And I've had water features for 26 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've seen all that stuff and I've battled with it, and I know you have as well. It's like we've seen the effects of all this stuff. So I love it just because of that expandability and all those new layers that have been added onto it. I mean, in my eyes, it's a home run.
Awesome, man. Well, it's cool to see something first generation change over to second generation. Always love developing products with you.
Yeah,
it's a fun part of interacting with you, and you always have a lot to offer, so appreciate it, man. All right, to say we're really excited about the new dosing system XT is an understatement. After all, we've been hearing comments and feedback from all of you guys over the course of time that we have now had the opportunity to incorporate into the design of this new feature, so we think you're really, really going to like it. Couple things I want to point out with it. As I mentioned before, we are using bottles now instead of bags. So we're still selling the current dosing system with the bag. I brought this out here so you can see the size and the scale difference between the two units. The bottles we have right here, we're going to have the full gallon and the half gallon. Obviously they fit inside the unit right here. You can fit in 1 gallon or 2 half gallons, and if you're using 2 half gallons, we mentioned in that video, there's a little controller add-on with the low intake suction device onto it. That slides right in up here. You don't need another transformer. It comes with one transformer. The nice thing about this, it has a little jumper cable on here, so you can drop this in, plug it into the jumper cable, and you can power everything off the same transformer, or if you want, you can actually hook it up to one of your bigger, 150 watt transformers out on the project already and run everything off the bigger transformer. So super excited about it. The way we are offering the XT dosing system this year is a little different because the current dosing system, you have the dosing system for ponds and you have the dosing system for fountain, and it comes with the bag of maintain or the bag of prevent. In this case, we are selling the dosing system XT just as the dosing system, and that allows you to choose whatever combination of water treatments that you want to use. It should make it simple. It's just one SKU with all the different water treatments you can choose from.